Fred Film Radio, I'm David Martos. We're in the 80th edition of the Mostra di Venezia, and part of the team of Maestro is here, Maestro in Competition in Venice. Thank you very much for being with us today. Mark Bridges, costume designer. Let me check the names. Yannick Nezet-Seguin, conducting the consultant.
Thank you.
And Kevin Thompson, production designer.
Thank you.
Everything's correct. Okay, it was difficult. So, Maestro, the first question is, these are difficult, weird, interesting times in which Bradley is not here to be with you, to premiere the movie. I mean, I would like you to refer to Bradley. How was the process of working with Bradley in this movie?
For me?
Yeah.
Okay. Working with Bradley has been, for me in the past, a joy and continues to be on this project. I've known him for many years, but this is the first time that I've worked with him as a director. And I was very excited to be on this project, the story that we're telling, and the possibilities to tell the story through clothes, the story of Felicia and of Leonard. Felicia was a very chic woman. So there were a lot of periods that we could go through to use clothing and jewelry to tell her story. And then has this well-documented life of a handsome man out and about in the world, but also a creative artist. So it posed a lot of challenges for me, and Bradley was up for it.
Yannick, I don't have a clue about conducting an orchestra, but Bradley seems amazing in the film. The cathedral scene is superb. How was the process of preparing the role with him?
Well, most people think that conducting is just like waving your arms up and down and, chasing the flies. So you're not alone if you... But actually, it is a pretty complex way of expressing the music. Gestures, there's some codes. You have to have some beats down and some beats up. And so for an orchestra to understand what it's about, you need some training, obviously, which Bradley didn't have. But as a fabulous director and actor, he could see, and more importantly, he could see what was unique to Bernstein in conducting. His eyes, his shoulders, his way of expressing the music with his whole body. And so when I came in was actually to make all of this expression, which was really Bernstein, and keeping him in this great acting zone, but making all his gestures believable so that the orchestra, like in the cathedral scene, could follow his gestures. And on this too, he's just amazing. He's just an amazing human being, Bradley, and we're all here because of him.
Yeah, okay. In the press conference, Steve, we were told that part of the film was shot in the family house in Connecticut. How would you describe the collaboration with the family during the process? I mean, how generous they were with the team?
They were incredibly generous at sharing inside information. There's a lot of visual research available on the family, but they had private pictures that were not published before. They could also answer specific questions about what the house looked like, the interiors, the set decorating. It was just fun to be able to get to that level of detail. They were very involved in being helpful to the art department without getting in the way. When we needed to make changes for cinematic reasons or for contemporary reasons, they stayed out of it. They didn't need it to be exactly period accurate. So the relationship with them was pretty stellar from day one. They also helped with the sets that we built.
Okay.
And in the same way, they provided information about fabrics that were used. The Dakota apartment, the Osborne apartment, and other details in terms of the family life.
Speaking about the clothes, Mark, would you say that there were any iconic pieces of clothes that belong to Leonard Bernstein that were somehow the base of your work, or you build it up like from scratch?
I think there are repeat images of Leonard. You know, you see things throughout his life that he wears, or at certain garments that signify certain stages in his life. Certainly one through line is he always wore a turtleneck, a roll neck sweater. I think for practical reasons, in a cold theater rehearsing, you need to stay warm. They're not going to heat the whole theater for a rehearsal. And you see that again and again in the research, that he wears a roll neck sweater. Also, it happened to be very stylish during the 60s and 70s, and he was a very stylish man. So you pick up on these through lines and use them where it fits dramatically. He had a lot of style. He was very comfortable wearing white tie and tails. He was very comfortable wearing black tie, and you see it, and we tried to use those things dramatically.
Mm-hmm. You were talking about the process of working with Bradley. Was there any particular aspect of conducting an orchestra that he found difficult or more challenging, that you had to work on it thoroughly?
I mean, I think overall, if he were here, would say that this is one of the hardest things he's ever done. And yet, he is a director very at ease to make people feel intimately really respected and engaged, but he's also very much at ease with big crowds. You know, there's no problem. He can get the attention of everyone and keep everyone focused, which is basically what a conductor does. So working with him, I tried to draw parallels as much as possible with directing. Now, you mentioned that he's not also he did not do directing so much. But as also Spielberg said himself, he said, Bradley was a director for the past 20 years and is, you know, like he always has grown into this business being a director in a way. So even as an actor. So I think for Bradley was to make sure that the emotion of the music didn't get the better out of still keeping a certain beat that's clear. And I say for Bradley, but it's for everyone. I think this is difficult for me as an experienced conductor. So it's even more impressive to see that Bradley could achieve this while being an actor and not a professional conductor.
Mm-hmm. And Kevin, I'm curious about how difficult it is to produce a film which takes place in the past, but not in a very distant past. I mean, in the past century. I mean, is that the challenge for you? Like, having to shoot a film in the 80s, the 70s, which are there, but not, it's not our present.
Well, I think it takes a lot of time making sure that you're in a period without it feeling like it's specifically that period. I think when you do the year 1947, not everything is from 1947. Everything is from 1947 and before that. And also, we never wanted to. Bradley has an amazing eye. He worked with me a lot because I respected his eye. And we never wanted the design to like slap you in the face. We wanted it to be accurate, but we wanted the spirit of how they lived and feel right without saying too much or drawing too much attention to itself.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was a nice conversation with Yannick Nesset-Seguin, Mark Bridges, and Kevin Thompson about Maestro here in Competition in Venice. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. This was an interview for Fred, the Festival Insider.